rays fall on a piece of paper, nothing happens to the piece of paper. But the minute you put a magnifying glass, it burns a hole in the paper. I always believe that personal excellence is the foundation for professional excellence. Walks, yoga, all this are now a part of my life.
What is that one or two qualities, according to you, they must have as a leader?
I think two very important things are the two E's. One is to have energy, because if you have energy, you can achieve what you want to achieve.
What's your favorite motivational quote?
A goal is a dream with a deadline.
Oh, wow.
So you have a dream, it remains a dream unless you put a deadline to it. The minute you put a deadline to it, it becomes a goal. And that's what we want to achieve. If God gave me an extra 1 hour, 2 hours, I would use them to read a book. But unfortunately, we don't have that, right? I mean, some test cricketers, Ravi Shastri and others. I've also been on the first ever cricket series that was telecast on Doordarshan called Cricket with Polly Umrigar. He, coached me and others, youngsters at the Wankhede Stadium. It was converted into a cricket coaching series, the first one on Doordarshan, and it was called Cricket with Polly Umrigar.
Hello and welcome to the Witchat Show. Today we have with us an amazing personality who has been a reason for a lot of personality development and a lot of motivation. We have Mr. Nikhil Desai with us. Hello sir, we're glad to have you with us.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you sir. So we do have a few questions we wanted to ask you.
Sure.
So to begin with sir, I have heard this, I've read this everywhere possible, that you have been a reason a lot of, people are engaged with their personality and, you've given them profound insights on how to actually perform and behave.
Okay.
So could you tell us what inspired you to become a professional speaker?
Great. Great question. I was in the US and I was doing my MBA there. And when I was studying MBA, I was also a teaching assistant. So I realized that a lot of students, they were having a lot of issues in their personal space because they were from all over the world. They were from various cities. They were away from their parents, sometimes for the first time. And I asked them, 20 hours a week that I have with you, would you like to spend some time on the subject of life, not just the academic subject? And all of them were very interested. So what we did was, out of 20 hours, we took 5 hours, which is 25% of the allocated time every week with them, and we discussed the subject of life. We sat at my home in the US, we sat on the ground, on the floor, and people asked questions. I gave them answers. Some of the answers came from themselves. And as a result, everybody's grades went up. I submitted a report to the Dean of the Business School and I said, when you focus only on the studies, you get good results. But if you focus on the student who is studying, you get great results. And he was so happy. He said, Nikhil, this is the first time anybody has done something like this. Please do more of this in the next semester. So for 5 hours, it became 7 hours in the next semester, which is 35% of my time. Right? And again, everybody's grades went up. Again, one more report to the Dean of the Business School. And he was so happy, he made me chairman of the curriculum committee for the undergraduate curriculum. And said, Nikhil, I want you to suggest all the heads of the departments will now informally report to you for this 2-month survey. Right? Head of Department of Management, Accounting, Finance, Marketing, all these, they informally report to you. And that time there were no mobiles, no internet, no emails, right? So this entire survey had to be done either on phone or through written questionnaires. And we did that, submitted the report. 80% of our recommendations were included in next year's curriculum. And that was an awesome feather in the cap. And I believe that my seeds of motivational speaking and training were planted during those sessions with the students in the US.
So now that you've trained so much, even in the States, what do you think is the most common barrier that comes when it comes to personality development, and how can people overcome that?
I think the biggest barrier is lack of self-awareness. people are not aware of their true strengths and weaknesses. They have a lot of blind spots. So sometimes, you tell somebody, hey, you get angry very fast. He says, no, I don't. Right? And even the answer is in anger. So the point I'm trying to make is, unless you are aware of your blind spots, how can you remove them? So one is self-awareness. And the second is a lack of focus. The sun's rays fall on a piece of paper, nothing happens to the piece of paper. But the minute you put a magnifying glass, it burns a hole in the paper because the energies of the sun got focused on to the paper through the magnifying glass. So lack of focus is another issue why people do not develop their personality as well as they can.
I completely agree with that actually. So we've spoken about personality development here. So you also do a lot of corporate trainings, right? How do you think, how do you usually tailor your sessions based on personality development and based on professional development?
I always believe that personal excellence is the foundation for professional excellence. And personal and professional excellence together lead to organizational excellence. And therefore, the foundation of personal excellence has to be strong. You cannot be a great professional without the foundation of personal excellence. So my focus is always on that, to develop your personal qualities, which if there are weaknesses, like if you have a strong chain, but you have one weak link, it will break that strong chain. Similarly, that's what happens to a lot of people. Once you identify that chain and then work on making that chain as strong as the rest of the link, then you have a strong personality.
Wow. So again, something for them to take up on. So could you tell us, it's usually said that if you preach, you should also practice it. What is that one thing or one habit which you practice every day and you swear by it?
I believe health is our true wealth. If you don't have health, everything is no use. And therefore, whatever it needs, even in my hectic schedules, to take out time for maintaining and promoting my own health, I always do that. Even if I'm traveling, I make sure if I can't do it in the morning, what I have to do in the evening, I will do it. Walks, yoga, all this are now a part of my life and a very integral and important part of my life.
So now talking about health, one thing that is trending these days or one thing that is spoken about a lot is mental health. That has been put out in a way that, because it's important also to discuss. So according to you, could you tell me some practical tips for maintaining your mental health and your mental peace?
Absolutely. When you talk of mental peace, everybody wants peace of mind, and unfortunately they find that instead of having peace of mind, their mind goes to pieces often, right?
Absolutely.
Right? And that is what is mental health. So even having short attention spans is part of mental health. We are not able to focus on the task at hand as well as we should and need to focus. Right? Our attention spans are getting shorter. So what is it that we can do? Of course, there are practices in pranayam. There is something called Brahmari pranayam. It is a wonderful pranayam which you can do regularly, and you will find that when you do that pranayam, just after that, your mind will become still and calm. So anything you want to focus after that becomes much more into your focus. So when you are tired, instead of struggling with whatever you're working, if you're not able to understand, maybe you're studying or maybe you're working on a complex project, it is better to take a break and do that 3, 5, 7 rounds of Brahmari pranayam and then continue the work after 1 minute of silence after that. Because our minds get cluttered so much that we are not able to actually use the faculties of our mind in the best possible manner. And therefore, this is one tip that is very, very important. Also, making sure that you are in the open air, you are with nature sometimes. When you take walks, instead of taking walks, in polluted areas, can you take a walk in the garden where you can feast on the nature, where you can see the greenery, where you can see the beautiful flowers, right? Where you could see some of the birds singing. If that is also done, it helps tremendously to calm the mind.
Oh, thank you for that. So now, like I've noticed this personally as well, that a lot of people want to move to a leadership position in their corporate journey or anywhere in life, if you go to see. So, what is that one or two qualities, according to you, they must have as a leader if they are looking to grow in that ladder?
I think two very important things are the two E's. One is to have energy, because if you have energy, you can achieve what you want to achieve. And second, as a leader, you need to energize your team, right? So, because you might be a great solo performer, but if you're not able to energize your team, you will not get the results. Ultimately, you have only two hands and one brain. But if you have 10 people reporting to you in a corporate, then you've got 20 hands and 10 brains. Are you able to energize your team effectively? If you're able to do that, energize yourself and your team, I think you have good qualities of a good leader.
So, in this generation per se, people get stronger as they collaborate. Correct? That is one thing we've established. People get stronger, intellectually or in any phase of their life if they collaborate. Who is that one motivational speaker or a personality you would like to collaborate with, and why?
Yeah, I always believe that, today's world is not about competition, it is about collaboration, right? And the minute you look at collaboration, if you look at the word, it is co-labor, which means doing work together for whatever the objective is. If I were to collaborate with a motivational speaker, definitely Tony Robbins comes as my preferred choice, again, because of the kind of energy he exudes and the kind of impact he makes on audiences.
So now, just to make things fun, we have a small rapid fire round. Sure. So these are going to be quick questions and you have to answer without thinking, okay?
Sure, but before your rapid fire, because you wanted something also in Hindi, can I share a share? अर्ज कर सकता हूँ?
Absolutely,
okay. जिंदगी खूबसूरत है, जिंदगी खूबसूरत है, हमें जीना नहीं आया. जिंदगी खूबसूरत है, हमें जीना नहीं आया. नशा हर चीज़ में है, हमें पीना नहीं आया. So if you get that nasha in your life, then that evening nasha is not important. Because that evening nasha, even if you can have it one evening a week or whatever you do. But that 24/7, if you're carrying that nasha with you, I think everything else can follow. Because you're just so grateful for life itself. And that attitude of gratitude is going to be absolutely a strong asset for you.
I think that was amazing because it's going to help them feel so inspired, like to be really honest. So now we have the fun rapid fire for you.
Sure.
So the first question I have for you is, what's your favorite motivational quote?
A wish is a goal only after it has a deadline. So in other words, a goal remains only a wish if there's no deadline to it. And I'm a very deadline-driven person, right? And I'm a person who focuses on smart goals. So this is Zig Ziglar's quote. A goal is a dream with a deadline.
Oh, wow.
So you have a dream, it remains a dream unless you put a deadline to it. The minute you put a deadline to it, it becomes a goal. And that's what we want to achieve. We can't achieve dreams, we can achieve goals.
So we know this for a fact that you've traveled the globe. So we wanted to understand, which country have you enjoyed visiting the most?
Okay, so I can answer two ways. One question is country and one is an event, right? So country itself, I had a great program for 600 HR heads in Baku, Azerbaijan. And these people came from all over the world and they attended my session, and I was happy to share that at the end of the session, I was almost like a mini Amitabh Bachchan there. Everybody wanting to take photographs and this, that. So I felt that the impact was great. But an interesting event, although not in fact in a country, was on the Royal Caribbean cruise from Singapore, where I was invited to conduct a motivational program for a cruise delegation of 300 people that included 2 former ambassadors of India. So, just that was an awesome experience. For the first time, I did that. Of course, I also fly by helicopter and run programs in the oceans for companies like British Gas. So you asked me which country, right? So I've told you country, I told you Baku, Azerbaijan as a country. The oceans is not part of any specific country, right? And by helicopter, of course, it is in the Indian Ocean, but so on. So a lot of experiences.
No, so we did read about that as well, and we were super charged to actually speak to you because I'm sure they're going to learn so much from you today. So, could you tell me, do you have a favorite book?
Yes, I have actually a personal collection of more than 1,000 books, hard copies. And it's something that if I had more time, more than the 24 hours that we all have, let's say I had God gave me an extra 1 hour, 2 hours, I would use them to read a book. But unfortunately, we don't have that, right? So I have almost stopped going to bookstores because I can't go to a bookstore and not come out without a book. But now to manage and store all those is always sometimes a bit of a challenge. So one of the books that I like is Sky is the Limit by Dr. Wayne Dyer.
And any personality development book which you actually like or you might want our audience to read?
Well, it's a very common book, but it's, I think, quite good still after so many years, is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? So it's by Dr. Stephen Covey, and it's a book that is good because, those 7 habits are very important. In fact, nothing based from there, but I myself am writing a book called The 9 Habits of Super Successful People, right? So I said, why? The American is doing 7 habits, what should I do? I should do 9, isn't it? India should always be a little over them, right?
Yeah,
in fact, I always felt that there was times when everybody used to come to India, the American speakers, white skin, people used to look at them in awe. I said, one day, I will go to those countries and people will look at an Indian in awe. And fortunately, I've achieved that. I've had white Americans, I've had Arabs, I've had Chinese, I've had all kinds of nationalities attending my programs all over the world. And it just feels, humbly proud as an Indian. I always say, I am proud to be an Indian and I'm privileged to be an Indian. So even after coming back from the US, when people used to ask me 40 years ago, why did you come back to India? My answer was always that I'm proud to be an Indian and I'm privileged to be an Indian, and therefore I'll set up my base here. I'll do anything else, maybe worldwide, but my home country will be my base. And that is why I am here. So I'm very proud that, the other nationalities are looking up to an Indian.
So even we are honored to have you here. In a few sentences, could you tell us what your mission is?
Sure. My mission is to reach 500,000 participants by the end of this decade. I've already crossed 250,000 people. And, before the pandemic, the numbers were a little smaller because there were always in-person sessions. But now sometimes there are online sessions also, and as a result, I'm able to reach larger numbers. Once the IBM US team invited me to do a session, and they actually invited 3,000 IBMers from all over the world to attend, including mainly from US and Europe. So the point is, yes, that is one mission that I have. And people ask me that, what is the reward that you get? I've completed 33 years in this profession. I'm a cricketer, right? I played with people like Ravi Shastri and others. I've also been on the first ever cricket series that was telecast on Doordarshan called Cricket with Polly Umrigar. He, coached me and others, youngsters at the Wankhede Stadium. It was converted into a cricket coaching series, the first one on Doordarshan, and it was called Cricket with Polly Umrigar. So as a cricketer, I like the half centuries and centuries. So in my profession, ideally, I'd like to hit half a century, 17 more years, and complete 50 not out, right?
Absolutely not.
That's my aim, God willing.
So the last question I have for you is actually very personal, okay? So I was one of those lucky people who got to experience and see you speak like actual public speaking in front of 100 odd people. So what is that one advice you would like to give to somebody like me, for example, who wants to pursue public speaking? What would be that advice?
Yeah, I mean, the fear that we have of public speaking, if you take it as an acronym, it is FEAR. And that is what? False evidence appearing real. Right? So when you're walking in a garden and it's night time and your foot stamps on something round and slimy, will you think it is? A snake, right or wrong? But you then turn the torchlight or your phone light and put it there, you see it's just a garden hose. And you feel, oh, no big deal, it wasn't a snake. Similarly, in public speaking, when we are talking, we first feel as if, my God, it's so fearful, right? The fear of public speaking is considered to be the number one fear for human beings. But if you're able to flash the torchlight of self-awareness and say that, okay, public speaking is nothing but an enlarged conversation that I'm having, right? Right now we are talking one-on-one. Can it be one-to-many? And if that is the attitude and mindset we bring to the public speaking, we'll be more relaxed, there'll be less pressure. And as a result, the performance will be better. You may still fall, you may falter. That's fine. That's part of life. Nobody learns to walk. A child does not learn to walk unless he has fallen many times. But a child never refuses to keep learning to walk and does not, say, okay, now I've fallen too many times, I won't try again. Similarly, in our endeavor to be a better public speaker, you'll fall, you'll make some mistakes. Accept it as part of being human and learn from those mistakes. And a mistake that you learn from is not a mistake. It's a lesson.
It's a lesson.
When you have a lesson and you have enough lessons, you will be a better public speaker. And I always say public speaking is more than saying a few words. It is the effective revelation of the human personality. When you're able to speak effectively with impact on audiences of your choice, then you will feel much better and grow yourself as you help others grow who are listening to you.
So, sir, these few minutes we've spent together have actually been inspirational. I'm going to take a lot of lessons from here. So, if our audience wants to know more about you or want to connect with you, is there any platform they can connect with you?
Sure. So, I'm mainly a corporate motivational speaker. So, because of that, the social media platform where I'm active is LinkedIn. Even I am active, meaning I have my team who handles that also. But there. Now, I'm not so much on Insta, Facebook and all that stuff because that's not my target audience, right? So for individuals who like to connect, because my team also has that instruction that ideally they want to connect with people who are working professionals, right? So if you're already working and they want to connect on LinkedIn, that's fine. But students we avoid because the messages that go out to our target audience are corporate related. So if it's a student, it won't really resonate as well. Therefore, the best thing would be my email and my WhatsApp, right? Wow. So that's the easiest way to access me. To be honest, I also have a WhatsApp assistant. I have too many contacts on my phone and I'm not able to manage all those contacts. Current count of contacts is 44,000 plus, right? So that's large number. So I have somebody who has some certain templates of my answers that can be given based on what the question and the connect is. But at least that's the easiest way to connect to me. Otherwise, my email ID. So if somebody wants my WhatsApp number, I can give it right now. It's +91 982 0004111. And if they want my email ID, it is Nikhil, Nikhil, at cexcellence.in. We are the Center for Excellence. C from the center followed by excellence as one word, .in. So I repeat for the last time, Nikhil at cexcellence.in. That's my email ID. All right.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your time. We really had a wonderful chat with you.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening and a lovely life.